Awana Ministry Director. I've talked to others since. Having that one night afterwards that's just for the leaders is so cool. It's a great way to recap the year, celebrate, but for so many, it's a time just to be with the team and really just have fun being the team, whether it's adults only or adults with the family. So you got all the kids running around. Both of them have great opportunities to work, but it's just that chance for everybody to really enjoy the year and what you've accomplished and all that. And I know you're going to talk about some of that in a minute, Jeff, but it's also a way to really, for the AMD, this way we can appreciate the dedication, the commitment of all these leaders that they've given a lot this year. We need to make sure we appreciate and say thank you back.
Yeah. So I think, that's just honoring them, showing your appreciation for them. And ministry doesn't really happen without your leaders. So making sure they feel appreciated. So typically, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but just give you a couple thoughts is maybe have a dinner. It could be at the AMD's house, could be at somebody else's house, could be at the church, could be a potluck where everybody brings stuff. Although some people say, hey, if you're going to appreciate the leaders and then you ask them to bring food. However, potlucks are good times. And so you could do it that way. You could do pizza, but have some kind of a meal or maybe even just a dessert. So you sit down, everybody's having a meal together, enjoying that. And then maybe halfway through that, this whole thing, by the way, should last an hour, maybe hour 15. It's not some huge thing. Maybe halfway through the dinner, you as AMD, or if you're the pastor or whoever's leading this, will stand up and just make some short comments about how much you appreciate your volunteers and how much you value them and so on and so forth. And then what I would say is give the opportunity to share around a couple of questions. You could ask this question. You could ask, hey, what does our club do well? And the whole idea of that is, you want your leaders to start thinking positively and make this an encouragement time. I've been in these kind of meetings where we say, hey, we want to get all your critiques, and somehow those meetings deteriorate into not an encouraging time. And we want to hear what the leaders have to say. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but make the start of this very encouraging. So what do we do good as a club? What's our strengths? Or you could ask something like this: how is God working in our club? And people get a chance to share, and it's really an encouraging time. Most of the time, people say a few things. The next thing you know, somebody's crying because little Billy got baptized, or so-and-so's mom started coming to church, or you start really seeing. I mean, you've been doing ministry over the course of 8 or 9 months, and it's hard to remember all those 8 or 9 months. But when you ask everybody to really think, how's God working, then people start coming up with all the good things, and they see all the good stuff that they're doing and how God's working. So, and then maybe you could ask, is there one thing that we could do better? And now we want to know, we want to kind of hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, but what's one thing? So if the meeting, all these comments is, 90% positive and 10% how can we get better, then I think you're in a good spot. So having said that, I think what we also do is maybe have a survey. There's a couple different ways to do that. I'm going to have Mel talk about survey.
Yeah, Jeff, and I want to tag on to what you were just saying. I love asking the questions, what's been the biggest success this year? And it always stuns people to ask that question. You have to give them a minute, but then all of a sudden they start remembering, and then somebody remembers something else, and it just starts going. And all of a sudden so when you do ask that, what can we do better? It's not, people kind of stay not really nitpicking. They're like, well, that one thing over there, but look at all the success. They jump on that.
Yes, because it makes it frames the whole ministry instead of people talking about, well, I had to walk around the stairs to get to game time. And instead of talking about all those small things, those are details, but the main thing is that kids are hearing about Jesus. So, yeah, I agree with you.
But we do need to hear about those details because, there's sometimes those slip by us, especially when you're the one in charge and you're trying to orchestrate all of it. There might be a minor detail that you missed or something, so we've got to have a chance. And at Awana, we've talked about the 3 B's, the belonging, the believing, becoming, and part of it's belonging. Do our leaders feel like they belong? Do they feel like we're listening? That's very key to having successful leaders, to having that successful club so we can reach more kids. Well, one of the ways I think that's a good way to listen is give the leaders, sorry, forgot what I was saying, give the leaders the opportunity to talk through a survey, whether that survey's on paper, whether that survey's a Google form. And I love Google Forms because you can email it out, and then when everybody responds back, it all goes into one spot for you to collect the data. That means you're not you don't get 500 emails in and then you got to go find them all. I'll be honest, that's why I love Google Form. And for those that are in the techie world, hey, make a QR code, and at your end of your event, have that QR code sitting there. Your leaders can take it, grab their phone, click on it, fill it out, and everybody's, quickly get it done. Sorry, Jeff, on the ABO, the Awana Basics Online, there's kind of an idea evaluation form that you can get some ideas from. If you're sitting here going, well, I don't know what questions to ask, grab that. Or you can just kind of look around, do some Google searches, or ask the really general question about what did we do good? What did we do bad? What can we improve on? Those are the basics. But sometimes to get a really good survey, in my opinion, you've got to be a little more specific to help them, because if it's too broad, nobody knows what to say. Or they'll go down a rabbit hole that gets us all, we're like, well, where do we go? But if you can be real, a little more specific, ask some basic questions like, how did the kids feel like they belonged? Do you feel like the kids felt like we cared about them? Was our time right? Get some questions like that going for our kids. I mean, for our leaders, about the kids and about their experience at Awana. What was the kids' experience? What was the leaders' experience? Those are some key questions I would ask on a survey. I remember it's been 12 years since I was an Awana ministry director. And back then we did it the old-fashioned way, the paper. And I still loved, and even on that survey, we're asking about what we can do better. But even there, give your leaders a chance to say, what was their successes? What was good? Even though they may have said it verbally a while ago, we want to make sure that's on paper also. That's my thoughts on the survey.
As we were talking, I just did a Google search on Awana leader feedback forms, and you can Google that, and there's sample forms on there. You could just ask, what do we need to improve on? Maybe ask them, what role do you want to serve in next year? Sometimes people say, well, I'm going to go from Sparks to TNT because their kids are moving up. Some leaders will say, wherever God needs me, which is great. And so you can start to get a feel for what your club's going to look like next year. So we've asked them some questions. We've had some great comments about what God's doing in their club. Had a survey, get a little more details. And I would, just to add on to what Mel said, I would take that survey, those results, and take a few weeks off. And then as you start planning for next year, you can start to address some of those. Then when you have your leader kickoff meeting, you have a list of topics to discuss of how everybody thinks we can make the club better. So that's a good way to use that survey. What are your thoughts, Mel, about, gifts for the leaders, and what have you done, et cetera?
I love saying thank you. That that is one of my spirit or the my love languages is gifts, and I love saying thank you because, like I said a while ago, these guys, your leaders, they've committed, they've given time, and we need to appreciate them. And we also, I think, can agree we can't give a gift big enough to for that what they've donated or what they've given. But for most of the leaders, just to be recognized, said that thank you is huge. I always gave like $5 gift cards to the local ice cream shop or the local coffee shop. I like doing local because I'm just big about that also. But that also just shows kind of makes it a little more personal for if you have the time and can pull it off. If you really know your leaders and you know this leader really loves their coffee, well, a coffee gift card would be cool. But you have a leader, which would be me, that doesn't like coffee. Well, give them a gift card to Sonic or the local tea place or something like that. All of a sudden, not only are you saying thank you, you're saying you know that person. And that becomes really special that you actually know your leaders well enough to know what they would like. Um, for some of the leaders, giving them a movie rental, the Red Box or some type of movie rental, just because they have a lot of kids and want to have a popcorn night or something at their house. Well, you've just given them an opportunity to do something that they love, spend time with their kids. Um, Also, along with the appreciation gifts, a handwritten thank you note, if you can, because I know some of us, that would be a lot of individual cards right now. Then one time I'd end up with writer's cramp. But that's one other way to say, hey, you're worth the time, you're worth the energy, effort. And I'll tag this one on. It's kind of the meal. One of the funnest end of year leader meals we did many moons ago. Um, One of the leaders in the group loved to make Italian cream sodas. And that was one of the things we did that was kind of the table off to the side. We did Italian cream sodas. Well, it was so out of the, so weird, so not normal. And it was just for the leaders. They really felt appreciated by
Mm.
doing something a little different like that. So if you're like, well, if we can do that, then go for it. That's something that they really, everybody will remember and talk about. And so that's a lot of that gift. Now, there's another way to say thank you and appreciate. That's for if like the years of service pins. And Jeff, I know you've said you had several people asking about it. I have. Um, we don't. You can wear it on your T-shirt. You can wear it, however you want. But especially for those leaders that have been around 20, 25, 30 years, we need to make sure we honor that and let everybody else know that that's called commitment.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about those guys, Jeff?
Yeah, I think for sure is those end of year. Well, first of all, regarding the gifts, and we've done the same thing: gift cards, coffee gift cards. One year we had we printed up some thank you cards, just did our own, and then we asked our staff, the pastoral staff, to sign the thank you card. So, this is, and you got to do this. You can't do this the night before, and you got a stack of 20 cards, and everybody has a little thank you, or pastor will sign his name, put a Bible verse or something like that. And that was very meaningful. And then we put the gift card in there. That was meaningful to the leaders. So we've done the same thing regarding those gifts. And then the years of service pins, just so you know, I mean, it used to be they had one for every year, but they got to be, we need a pin for year 17 and 23. So they do 1 through 10, 1 through 10. And then after that, it's every 5. I think it's 1 through 10, and then 15 and 20 and 30, maybe. I can't remember exactly. But or you can do if you want to do some kind of certificate for the leader. Hey, thank you for your 10 years of service or 15 years of service. My experience is a lot of clubs now, the younger volunteers are not wearing those pins like in the past. So it's kind of up to. However, having said that, there was a church I went to just not too long ago, and they did give away pins. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do. So after having said all this, we do all this. We have a meal. What's God doing well? How do you see God working? How can you improve? What's one thing that we can do better? We've given a survey, given some gift cards. And then I think maybe it's appropriate at the very end, pray together as a team. And if you've got 10 leaders, then you can just pray all together. If you've got 50, then maybe you want to have a Cubby prayer time and a Sparks prayer time. But pray together as a team, and that's a very meaningful time. And then wrap it up. And I always just say, hey, I'll see you back doing the same thing here in 2 months. You get a 2-month break, and then I'm expecting everybody to come back. And there's always somebody who's going to leave or move, or they feel God called them to a different ministry or whatever. But the expectation is, hey, we'll see you here in 10 Tuesdays or 10 Wednesdays or whatever it is. So you pray together, and then you have a good night. So anything else you want to add, Mel?
No, back on the appreciation where you were talking about the cards, I just had a thought. This one takes more planning, but if you have time, cool thought. Print out the thank you cards for your leaders. Allow the parents an opportunity to sign them.
Oh, interesting.
And so then if you can organize it where the parent of if that leader worked with your child, you sign those cards, that could be some really special memories for your leader.
Yeah, for sure.
And that just came to me. And as far as the prayer, we know that that's powerful, and we can be praying for this, all those successes of this year. That's a great time to really bring that back into, really focus on that and give that to God. Also praying for next year. And then if you have like a group me or some type of an app or communication, whether it's texting, a group text message, a group me, something like that, over the summer, as the AMD, just shoot out a couple of prayer requests from things that we've picked up tonight. And that would really keep that prayer going. And I think that would be something that would be pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Club going strong.
And you're just kind of maintaining the belonging in the community over the summer. I think that's a good idea. You're giving people a chance to rest, but anyways,
feed into them while they're resting. So,
hey, thanks for listening. And I think the next time we do one of these, we're going to talk about going a little deeper about evaluating your club year and giving you some things to think about. And so thanks a bunch, and we'll see you the next time.
Bye, gang.